Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host,
Gab.
She couldn't even see me pointing at her, but she knew when I stopped speaking. That's time to
What
speak.
episode is this?
Like episode number?
Yeah.
37.
37. That's
come a long way.
amazing. We've come a long way. And now after 36 episodes on my 37th try, I knew when to say my name.
Well,
Crushing
good for
it.
you. We're talking about a movie that was my suggestion for a movie to watch before you die. But before we start talking about that, and I'm going to talk a little longer to let Gab finish that sip of her drink. Gab, why are you listening to us?
Well, Dylan, you and I have some pretty awesome credentials. You are a former video editor. You went to film school. I am a former actor. I went to acting school. Between the two of us, we have a lot to say about movies and what they're made of.
You nailed it, Gab. And now I can talk about the movie that we watched in order to talk about today. It is the 2001 childhood nostalgia classic, Recess, School's Out. I think I just call every movie I introduce a classic. Gab, did you watch Recess, the TV show, as a kid?
Yeah, with you.
I'm hoping that sweet nostalgia value sprinkled in there. Gab, why don't you tell me what Recess, School's Out is about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Well, Dylan, Recess School's Out is about a group of elementary school kids who are enjoying their last day of school when they realize that they are all going to be separated for the summer to go to various camps. One, the leader of the pack, TJ, stays home, doesn't go to camp. And while he's figuring out what to do with his summer vacation all alone, he discovers that there are evil corporation people using his school, and he tries to get them to get his friends and the school to help him get rid of these bad guys.
You want to hear the much more? Yours is probably a little bit much. Mine's probably a little too concise. The IMDb plot summary. TJ and his gang must save summer vacation from disappearing forever.
I mean, that's a much better way to put it.
It's much simpler. Do you want to hear some taglines?
I suppose.
Don't mess with recess.
Okay.
It rhymes.
Yeah.
I was like a little bit of rhyming in mine. I also, in fact, I wrote down a quote from this movie that I was like, that should have been the tagline. But let me continue through them. It's not just another day in the park.
Bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. A movie so big, only a theater can't hold it.
Bad.
That reminds me of, didn't they have the exact same thing for like Hercules, I think?
Yeah. Yes,
I feel like, are they just doing that for, they're like, just tell these stupid kids the theater can't even hold it. Like, they'll go see it.
Yeah, basically.
A motion picture event so big, so awesome, it will blow you away. It's a bit much.
It's a bit of an over promise and an under delivery as far as I'm concerned.
This movie will knock your socks off and murder your family. Like, saving the world one playground at a time.
No.
That worked. You know what? That might be the best one of these. They had the tagline in the movie. Summer vacation, the ultimate recess.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay. So, is there any more we should address about what it's about? I feel like we want to be non-spoilery here, so I'm going to say no. Is it time to get to our opinions?
It's opinion time, baby. Let's go.
In this critic's opinion,
that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
I gotta say, after we watched Whiplash last week, which is like this nuanced, complicated film that's dark and is about like, is this abusive, toxic relationship worth it or not? We had that long discussion. I was like, let's watch something light. And boy, this is so light and so simple. And I found it to be delightful. Like, I think maybe it's just the nostalgia talking, but I love the very imaginative world that this show and this movie evokes, where you have, and I think that this movie works if you haven't seen the TV show. It introduces all these kids who are like, it's in a way, it's things that I feel like you can remember from when you were in elementary school and your imagination was better. And there were kids who were just like, this kid is that attribute. And that's all I ascribed to that kid. But it was like, oh yeah, the digger kids. Sure. The hustler kids. Sure. Like there were just kids that you knew for that one thing that they do.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I've always loved this movie. I don't know why. I think we saw it in the theater, and it has stuck with me long enough that at 30 years old, I'm saying it is a movie to watch before you die.
So I want to stop you really quick, and I just want to discuss this whole like elementary school thing. So what kind of kid were you in elementary school? Because listener, that you know that we are cousins, but what you don't know is that we did not go to the same school. We lived maybe like 10 minutes apart, but we were just in different school districts.
Yeah,
so
what elementary school were you in?
Abbey Lane.
Oh, okay.
You went to Wantagh, right?
East Broadway.
Okay, yeah, but that was Wantagh School District?
No, that's Levittown School District.
Oh, okay. So what was I in?
I think it might have been
Levittown
Levittown School District also, but there's a bunch of elementary schools. There's like
Oh,
Abbey
yeah,
Lane,
yeah.
Gardeners, there's East
Right.
Broadway, Lee Road. I
Why
think
do
is
you
the other
say it like that? Say it
one.
again.
Which one?
The school you went to.
East Broadway?
Like,
What am I doing
What?
wrong here?
it's Broadway.
What did I say?
Broadway? Like,
I'm saying it like a question. I don't really remember well. East Broadway?
yeah, basically. But it's just, you know what's funny? When I had to cancel when Corey and I live on Broadway in New York City. Not where the theaters are, but we live on Broadway. And when I called to cancel my Spectrum from my apartment when we moved in together, I had to tell the guy my new address. And so I said, it's, I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but I gave him the number and I said Broadway. And he went, road, street, avenue. And I was like, no, Broadway, like New York City, Broadway. And he went, oh my God, you live on Broadway? And I was like, I don't think you understand. It's like the longest street in the city. Like, no, I don't live on Broadway, sir, from Kansas.
This Spectrum man thinks that you're the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just living in the rafters of a Broadway theater. Yeah.
He could not believe somebody lived on Broadway. And I'm like, I would imagine like a large population of this city lives on Broadway. It's like the longest avenue. But yeah,
That
it was
would
really
make
funny.
sense.
But that's what that reminded me of you going East Broadway.
East Broadway? Yeah, I feel like I ended up going with a movie that was so simple that I'm like, there's not even that much to address about it.
You didn't answer my question. What
Ooh,
type
was the
of
question?
kid were you in elementary school?
Not quite a nerd, not quite a dork. A nerdy dorky kid.
Were you popular in elementary school?
God, who the hell remembers elementary school that well?
You don't have any childhood trauma? Come on, let's go unpack
I
it.
think because of my childhood trauma, I don't remember elementary school.
Interesting. Yeah.
I would say, like, was I popular? Definitely not. Was I friendless? No. You know what I mean? I was a tweener.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. In early elementary school, I was definitely like not a horse girl because I never really cared about horses, but I was definitely like a Pokemon, like a weird kind of girl. And then as I got a little bit older, I got more into like Fallout Boy and like emo music. So then I became,
now what you mean. I
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
super into Toonami at the time. Like I loved like Dragon Ball Z at the time and
yeah.
Pokemon cards I did love.
Yeah.
I got in trouble because I stole Pokemon cards.
Oh, did you really? From who?
Some
From
of
a
the kids'
store?
locker.
Oh shit, you dirty
I
little
did, and I got caught
bastard.
and I had to give them back.
You had a locker in elementary school?
No, this was at summer camp.
Oh my God. Did you
But
get
he
kicked out
just-
of summer camp?
No.
Okay.
Like it was very mild, like a put it back. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I got in trouble in elementary school because I wrote on the bus seat. I like had a pen and I don't remember what I wrote, but I wrote maybe like somebody sucks. I don't remember, but I wrote something on the seat of the bus and I got
Sucks.
in
That's
big
like the
trouble for
C
it.
word for an elementary school. kid,
Yeah,
though. That's a lot.
Exactly.
That's pretty major.
It was really bad. And I vaguely remember there being something about like a Neopets situation where maybe it was like my first instance of like online bullying with the Neopets community, but I don't remember.
Do you remember Tamagotchis?
Of course I do.
Those were cool.
They were cool.
That's
That
all I
was-
had. Do you remember Homies?
Oh my God, yes. My mom has the funniest story about us going to an IHOP somewhere and us screaming about the homies and her being like really mortified that we would not stop going, homies, there are homies here.
I feel like people aren't gonna remember what that is, but they were these little tiny, you get them for like a quarter vending machine thing where you open it up and you got like two new homies and they were like half an inch tall. They were fucking tiny and they were sort of like garbage pail kids where they were these like very exaggerated design looks.
But make no mistake, they were all like very racially
They definitely should not have been.
insensitive.
They should not have been toys for children. That
No.
was like we shouldn't have been shouting out at IHOP like You got any more homies? Like,
And they were clearly just like from the projects, like these very ghetto looking people, and like they were just action figures. I have no idea. I would love to look. Scotty, do us a favor, look into what happened to homies. Like there had to have been a lawsuit or something.
I know Scotty's not that much younger than us, but I'm like, did he ever?
No, he
did
would
he hear
never
of
know.
homies? Like,
Do you remember there was this other thing that they were popular? They were very similar figures, and I don't remember what they were called, but I know they like came in the mail at one point because my grandma got a bunch of them and gave them to me. But
came
they
in the
were
mail?
Yeah, like they sent out samples in the mail, I think. And they were these cool little action figures. They were like different colors, and they weren't like people, they were kind of like creatures. My dad
I
might
don't
remember.
I was also super into WWE, which was WWF at the time, which was the style
Right.
at the time.
Right.
And I
remember me, you, and Zach used to play WWF, and that never ended well.
I remember your neighbor had a trampoline, and it was like, trampoline, we're choke slamming people. Like that's what you do on a trampoline.
Yeah, Kristen had
Yes.
the trampoline. My
And
parents would not get me a trampoline no matter what I did.
trampolines are the best, and also like obviously so easy to get injured on, but still so much fun. But my biggest memory of when I collected action figures of WWF people is my dog at the time, Pony, R.I.P.,
Love Pony.
eating eating the action figure and eventually like just vomiting up like just the head of like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was like, no. I was
my
like,
God.
that's the bottom line because Pony said so. Or Stone Cold.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I was really in young elementary school. I was very into Pokemon. I was very into like, I remember going to a friend's house and trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And kind of being like, this is lame. I think
never did it
truly
for
in
me.
my heart, I didn't really give a shit about any of that. I think I just wanted to fit in with those kids because I had decided those kids were my friends. But then as we got a little older, Kristen with the trampoline, Kristen and I got very into like Fall Out Boy and like all of the music, like Panic at the Disco, Taking Back Sunday. And then I kind of went into like this emo phase in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Avril Lavigne was really popular. My first day of 6th grade, I wore a tie to school. But I will say this, I was extraordinarily awkward until I was 15. Like from 7 to 15, I was just like a walking disaster from what I wore to what I liked to like my hormones. Like I was just a nightmare. And then when I turned 15, I was like, oh, I can be normal.
I'm pretty sure I became extremely awkward in like middle school, and I'm still waiting for it to stop.
Yeah, we all are, honestly. Yeah.
To go back to
Anyway.
Recess, another reason that Recess sticks with me is because Giselle still refers to me anytime I accidentally rat about something as Randall. She'll be like, you Randall, like every time I'm like excited and say something that I shouldn't have said, I'm like, oh no.
That's so funny. Wait, like how so?
Like obviously I'm not gonna, spill any beans here, but it'll be like if we're talking to a friend of ours and I say something about like, oh, this happened to, our other friend that we mutually know. And then Giselle later will be like, Randall, you weren't supposed to tell them that. Like, that type of thing. I'm like, oh,
yeah. That's really funny. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Randall looks so much like an old man.
There's an episode, because I rewatched a lot of the show recently too, where you see Randall's father and it's just him but taller.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, he looks like a very Jewish.
That kid looks fucked up. That kid's all hunched over. Like
it's not good. Yeah.
No. But you know what? He might have like the funniest scene in the movie to me. His whole Miss Finster, can you get off of me? Like that, and what is it that Miss Finster says? Damn these bodacious hips of mine. Randall, go home and get the butter.
Yeah, that was funny.
It just gets me.
Yeah.
Okay. Hot take here. I think that this is better than the Rugrats movie and Rugrats in Paris.
I can't really say that that's a hot take because I haven't seen either of those movies since they were in the movie theater. But I do know that in my heart, I was a Rugrats girl through and through. But a couple of years ago, maybe during the pandemic, Nickelodeon was airing, or some channel was airing like old Nickelodeon cartoons. And I watched a couple of episodes of Rugrats and I thought, oh, so this is why I grew up to have anxiety and depression. Like,
you know what?
Oh,
I loved the Rugrats, and I still watch Rugrats Passover like every year.
Well, Rugrats Passover is a gem.
It is the absolute best.
Don't close the door. So good.
I think I wrote that specifically because I feel like Recess School's Out still feels like the show, and it doesn't totally take you away from the setting of the show, but it's still a bigger thing. Whereas I feel like Rugrats was like, normally they're in the backyard or they're with their parents on a play date or something like that. And for both Rugrats movies, it's like, no, we're doing something utterly different. And that's fine too, but it doesn't feel as much like the show.
Yeah. Something though that Recess did that I didn't care for was this weird 3-dimensional, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't
Are you talking
look
about
like
the
the
intro
cartoon.
and outro, how it does that? Like,
Yes.
I think that's them trying to flex this is a movie and we have to have like better looking animation, which for the most part, it does look a lot better than, say the TV show did. But I think I really like it at first, except for, here it is. I love these CGI overhead shots, shows the larger budget. The crowd is a bit awkward when, as it's going through, you can see repeated kids who are perfectly still. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't have done that if you couldn't like finish the job. You know what I
Really
mean?
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
didn't
noticed
care for
like
that.
this kid in the exact same, like very obvious shirt, and I was like, oh no, you
Yeah.
done fucked up.
Yeah.
Let's see here. One of the things that I like that they show before is like how the school year ends in the show. I like how you see the digger kids refilling their holes because they have to be able to dig again next year.
Mhm.
Hustler kid having an end of the year sale. And I wrote, unlike the United States, the peaceful transition of power from King Bob to King Freddie.
Very funny.
I also, as an adult, I realized that like, oh, Finster is actually trying to do a nice thing. She's like, at the very beginning of the movie, she's going to sell back the ice cream to the district. And it's like, what's she going to do it for? And you're expecting some sort of selfish means. And it's like, no, so that she can, so they can buy more school supplies for the children. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
how terribly sad. They're just underfunded.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome to America.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I have here? One thing that does stand out as not making sense is the fact that it's the last day of school and they had not mentioned any of these summer camps to TJ before that day.
Yeah. I felt bad for him. I was like, are his parents poor? They can't, like, he can't go to summer camp? Or
As a kid who went to summer camp, I really liked when I stopped going to summer camp. I was like, I could just fucking chill. Like,
you
nice.
hated it. I remember you hating it because we used to have sleepovers and you'd have to leave to go to camp and you'd be so mad. Or soccer. You hated soccer too.
Well, I was, not a popular kid, not a friendless kid, but I was also a kid who hated soccer. I was never that, I always played defense on soccer because I was like, I just have to get in your way. Like, I just have to stand in the way.
And you're still good at that to this day.
I can still get in the way. Ask yourself.
Yeah.
Every time she's in the kitchen, she's like, get out of my way. Another thing that I like that I feel like goes back to your childhood imagination is this is a movie very much about what happens when you're not at school. And I feel like that's something that until you reach like post high school, you're thinking like, what do they do there at night? What do they do there in the summer?
Probably not for me because my mom is a teacher. So I
That's
just kind
true.
of knew the answer to that.
She was out again.
Yeah. But like, okay.
I feel like you're totally, though, as a little kid, like, there's definitely something going on in the school at night.
I mean, maybe. I remember running into my teachers at the store and being like, oh my God, they're in the real world.
Yeah,
and
you're
then
like,
my
"You
mom would be
exist?"
like, my mom was like, I exist. And I'm like, oh, I guess.
That's different, though. You're not a teacher, you're mom. Like,
You're
that's
a
not the
mom.
same.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? You ever think back to your elementary school days and think like my teachers were like 23 years old?
Yeah. Like, I
My
know
cousin-
people now who are teachers. Like, I have friends now who are teachers, and I'm like, wow, that's really weird. I'm like, because you picture them as being so old, and they're really not.
Right. Well, my cousin Marissa, who I think is like 23, is a second grade teacher, like a legitimate full-time, not
Yeah.
a sub, just a second grade. And I'm like, you're a little kid. Like you're responsible for 36-year-olds, 7-year-olds. Like what?
Yeah, but I mean, she's teaching second grade. Like, I trust her to teach them that, like, what do you learn in second grade?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, addition and subtraction.
But I'm like, based on your Instagram, like, you like, are you hungover when you go to work? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Oh, there are definitely teachers who were hungover.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about young teachers, but I had a teacher in middle school who taught my dad also. And I was like,
Oh my God.
in middle school, my brain could not comprehend. I was like, this guy's got to be like 140. This guy's so fucking old.
Oh my God. I remember my music teacher at Abbey Lane was both of our parents' music teachers. He remembered your dad and my mom. And then in high school, my senior year, I had a choir teacher, like a music teacher, who also taught my dad and remembered my dad. And I was like, there is no fucking way. And I think she taught for like 2 or 3 years after I graduated high school until she retired.
I've got one more person I got to mention like that. Okay, so we have a grandfather, our joint grandfather, who was a guidance counselor.
Uh-huh.
He worked with my high school guidance counselor, who was also my father's high school guidance counselor. So I'm like, this guy, when he was my guidance counselor, must have been fucking ancient. And this man always had like the worst coffee breath in the world. I can say his name because his name was Mr. Smith, which is the most generic name in the world.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he didn't know if I was me or my older brother because he had me take the SATs in 10th grade, which I was like, I should not be taking these.
You took the SATs in 10th grade?
Yes. The first time I took my SAT, it was in 10th grade. I never took the PSAT because I'm pretty sure he was like, yeah, you graduated. Why didn't you take the SAT? Like, I was like, no, sir. Like, I am not this age.
He thought you were Zach. That's scary. How'd you do?
I mean, not great. I took it again. I was like,
10th grade.
I want to do better than this. Yeah.
No. So what was your SAT score?
Are you serious? I got to have my SAT score.
Yeah. Come on, let's talk about this, because when we took it, at least when I took it, and you and I are the same age, so I assume it was a very like strange blip in time where it was out of 2,400.
I don't remember my score out of 2,400. I remember the out of 1,600.
Okay, what was it out of 1,600?
My best, or the first time I took it?
The best.
Because I can remember the best one, and I can remember the first time I took it because it was the worst.
Okay, well, I guess share them both.
The first time I took it, I got a 1080.
Okay.
The best I did, I got a 1,300.
Oh, that's amazing. I got a 1,350.
Yeah, I think
you were very close.
My brother did even better. He got like a 1,380.
Crazy.
But I think I've told the story on the podcast before about him doubting my essay, right? No? Okay. So, as you were saying, we took the SAT during the brief period where there was like an essay portion and it was 2,400, yada, yada. Yeah. They gave this essay that they graded out of 12. And I remember specifically the prompt on the essay was talk about mentorship. So, you don't know what's going to be going into it. So I very much was like, struggling to think of something. And I remember 2 things: that Willie Mays was Barry Bonds' godfather. And I was like, yeah, I can bullshit about that and how, like, obviously he's his mentor. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The other thing was I struggled and I came up with, I was like, this is what I'm going with. Splinter was the mentor of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh my God.
And I went home and told my brother that, and he was like, you are a fucking idiot. You have easily bombed that essay. You moron. You wrote about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And like, my mom is getting into it too. She's like, you wrote about the Ninja Turtles? Like, I was like, yeah, he's their mentor. And I remember he was so certain that I was like, I will bet you that I got at least a 10 on that essay out of 12. And he's like, a 10 out of 12? Sure. What do you want to bet? If I got a 10 out of 12 or better, I get to kick you right in your nuts. And he was like, sure. If you got better than a 10 or a 10, you can kick me in the nuts. 2 weeks later, whatever it is, the thing comes in the mail, and I do not give a shit what I got on the SATs. I'm like, find the essay. I got a 10 out of 12.
Yes.
I go up the stairs, and I come back downstairs with boots on, and my brother's like, no! He runs away and comes back downstairs with like hundreds of dollars of gift cards, and he's like, take these. I've gotten them as gifts. Please just take them. Don't do this. And oh wait, I forgot. Right before I opened it up, he went, are you ready to lose the bet, moron? And I went, double or nothing right now. He agreed to it. So he was trying to avoid 2 kicks in the nuts.
That's incredible. I do not remember that happening at all. Wow, good for you.
Yes,
damn.
I went way off the rails there, but yes.
The thing is, like, and let's talk about the curve, right? Like, you have to think there are some kids who are writing about like the candy, you know what I mean? Like Mentos, like, oh, if you put Mentos in Diet Coke, it explodes. So like you getting a 10 out of 12 writing about the Ninja Turtles doesn't surprise me, but it does also not surprise me that Zach thinks you're a moron, which is really funny because now I don't think Zach has probably written an essay since he took that SAT.
No, I don't think Zach would want to write an essay since then either.
Yeah,
God, we've gone so far off of Recess.
we
But
have.
it's all school
but
related, so that's
exactly.
semi-related.
This is nice. All right, well, wrap up your thoughts. Wrap up your opinions, because
One
I'll
other-
give you mine.
One other big time opinion, I really like the soundtrack, which is like all 60s music. And,
Yes.
you know, it jives and it works because they have that 60s flashback in the middle of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it ends up being really cool.
Yeah.
Let's get to some of your opinions, though, because I've been steamrolling.
Yeah. So I watched this movie yesterday with Corey in the middle of the day. It was a nice setup. We put it on. Corey also watched Recess when he was a kid. So we were both kind of like, oh, this might be fun, nostalgic, like lighthearted, whatever. And I watched it, and I agree with you. The music was really good. I did a lot of like, whose voice is that? Like Melissa Joan Hart, I forgot, is in that. Mikey's singing voice is Robert Goulet. Like, oh my God, that's crazy. So, you know, just like kind of reliving that and, you know, whatever. And once the movie was over, I said out loud, this is the worst piece of hot garbage I've ever seen in my life.
What?
And I waited this whole time for you to kind of have that realization that I had about Lizzie McGuire, where you're like, oh, it brought me so much joy when I was a kid, but ultimately as an adult, I can look back and objectively say it's bad. And I waited and waited and waited. And you didn't say it. So now it's my turn to say it. It was bad. And I'm going to tell you why it was bad. Number one, all of the jokes are so outdated. And I know this came out in 2001, but I don't think they were outdated necessarily now. I think like the humor where like he's telling the cops about what's going on and they like listen and they're quiet and then they all go ha ha and like just like not good, like not good.
It totally works because it comes in threes. They do it, then the other kids do it, then Miss Finster does it. It's funny.
I don't
It's
think
not
so.
hilarious. I'm not saying this is the funniest movie ever, but go on.
I always think about these movies that came out when we were kids that our parents would like begrudgingly watch. And some of them, as an adult, they were like, oh, that was pretty good. Like there was something in it for me, you know, whatever. You know, like I always go back to Shrek because I remember loving Shrek and my parents loved Shrek. And I think everybody loved it, right? Like it was very funny. It had great humor. The performances were great. There was something for everybody. And this just didn't have that. I think Hercules had more of that than this. James Woods, awesome. He was a much better villain in Hades than he was in this.
I still think he's a good villain in this too.
He was fine. It just, none of it was like really, none of it really brought me any joy. I think the storyline gave very little wiggle room for us to really like admire the characters for who they are. It felt very shallow compared to like the television show. And it was so like the characters on the TV show are much more multidimensional in terms of like they each have like their own little quirks and whatever. And like coming into the movie, it was kind of just like if you are watching it. So I haven't seen this show in many, many years. So it's kind of like coming back to me as I'm watching. But like I don't feel like I was reintroduced to each of the characters besides maybe TJ. That you know, than I could have been if they were not running them all off to camp and then trying to pull them back. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I didn't really get reintroduced to them in the way that if I had watched one episode of the TV show, I probably would have. And ultimately, I just thought it was bad. I just did not think it was good.
You know, I feel like I can't give you like your sing for me paddle moment where I agree that this is like a totally terrible movie. Do I think it was great rewatching it? No. Do I think it still holds up in many ways? Yeah. But do I think, you know, if I went to the theater and saw this tomorrow, would I be talking about it 20 years from now? Probably not. So I can definitely agree that I'm clouded by nostalgia on this one for certain.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I remember now. Remember now. The movie that I think you should die before you watch. And I understand that this mail segment that we recorded today is from weeks ago.
For The Great Gatsby, yes, which came out many weeks ago now.
Weeks ago. But am I okay to say it? Because it's honestly, we're on the subject.
Oh, this is a movie to die before you watch right now, you're saying?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, I might make that argument, but what I'm going to say is the SpongeBob movie.
The first one?
Yeah.
I remember nothing about it, to be honest, except that David Hasselhoff is in it.
I
And
remember
Goofy
coming
Goober?
home. Yeah. I came home and I was like, that was horrible. That was a 90-minute episode of SpongeBob that I didn't enjoy. And it just felt like it dragged, because I think the good thing about these kids' TV shows is that they're in and out in 30 minutes. It's quick, it's fast. There's a very limited storyline. It holds your attention because it's quick. And when you try to turn it into a 90-minute thing, like, these are not stories or characters or writers that are equipped to write a 90-minute 3-act saga. Like,
I
you
don't know if I agree
lose
on the
me.
writer's part, but I think there is a different artistry to writing a perfect 3 acts in 12 minutes and 3 acts in 90 minutes.
Yes.
Sure.
And I don't enjoy it. And I think if we watch the Rugrats movie, I wouldn't enjoy it either, because I just think these are, at its very core, a children's television show is meant to be fast. It's meant to be very surface level, and it's meant to just hit the act 1, act 2, act 3 all very close together. And so when it becomes a movie, it's like, oh my God, like, I wanted it to end so badly.
I also think there's something interesting that I'll get to about children's shows that are turned into movies when we get more into the facts.
Okay. Well, I really don't have anything else to say other than I cannot believe you didn't come into this with your tail between your legs apologizing to me.
And I still won't apologize.
Okay. Let's get to the facts, please. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
No. I'm going to filibuster now. This is going to be our first 3-hour episode. Goddamn.
Oh my God. Kill me.
Lines I like. Watch the jacket. It's cotton.
Okay. Haha. I didn't think that was funny.
James Woods saying, "What a rude and badly dressed little boy you are." I love the flashback and James Woods, Prickly, and Miss Finster all having their same old voices.
Yeah. Why was he Ringo Starr?
Who? Prickly?
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be George Harrison.
Whatever. He was one of the Beatles.
They're all references. Philium, Benedict is supposed to be one of the characters from Easy Rider. I'm not sure who Miss Finster is supposed to be off the top of my head. A line that Zach and I still say now, 20 years later: "Don't do it, Dr. Benedict. Don't do it. You think after all this work, all this planning, you can stop me with don't do it?" For some reason, it stuck with me. God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Sometimes lines stick with you. That doesn't mean it's good.
I think it's good. It's got a cute message about go be a kid while you're still a kid. I wish I wasn't old.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's get to some facts.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
I want the truth.
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
Let's start with the scores. IMDb gives this a 6.5 out of 10. On the tomato meter, it gets 60%, an average rating of 5.8 out of 10, with 42 fresh reviews and 28 rotten. The audience score is 56%, an average score of 3.4 out of 5. The movie was directed by Chuck Sheets, who directed 19 Simpsons episodes, 62 episodes of Recess, and was an assistant director on the Simpsons movie. Were you going to say something about Chuck Sheets?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. It was written by Paul Germain, who started out at Gracie Films and developed and cast the 1-minute cartoons that became The Simpsons, co-writing them with Matt Groening. Went on to write 177 episodes of Rugrats and 129 episodes of Recess. Also written by Joe Ansalabier, who also wrote 18 episodes of Rugrats, 76 episodes of Hey Arnold, and 28 episodes of Recess. And lastly, written by Jonathan Greenberg, who wrote 16 episodes of Arthur, 16 episodes of Hey Arnold, and 16 episodes of Rugrats.
Have you watched Doug as an adult?
So weird that you say that. I watched Doug within the last week. I watched 1 episode of Doug.
Wow.
It was on Disney Plus, so it was the Disney version. And the only comments that me and Allie had were, "This is not as good as the Nickelodeon version." Definitely was.
Well, the Nickelodeon version I watched again over the pandemic. It is dark and depressing.
That's probably why they probably wouldn't let that stand at Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. Disney definitely lightened it up. But oh my God, I was like, this had to have fucked us all up. Anyway, continue.
I can still remember songs by The Beats vividly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll go through. There's a lot of cast members to go through, so I'll try and be quick about it.
Yeah, just understand, like, nobody cares.
I care.
Okay, well, hurry up.
Andrew Lawrence is TJ, who's the youngest brother of Joey Lawrence and Matthew Lawrence.
Who are they?
You've never heard of the Lawrence brothers?
I mean, okay, have you heard of the Smith brothers? Can you just, like, refresh me?
Matthew Lawrence was from Boy Meets World. Joey Lawrence was from Blossom. They've all been in a bunch of things.
Okay, all right.
Did you watch Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
you remember Sean's brother, Jack?
Yes.
That was Matthew Lawrence.
Okay. All right. Go back to telling me things I don't care about.
Okay, fantastic. Ricky Deshaun Collins as Lance, who was also in Little Giants, and Danny Phantom as Tucker. Jason Davis as Mikey, who sadly died in 2020.
Oh, he died?
Yeah.
How? Why?
He was 35. Fentanyl.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, that's super not fun.
Wow. You know, fentanyl is really getting people.
Wow, breaking news there, guy.
Sorry.
Drugs are bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. All right, keep going.
Ashley Johnson was Gretchen, and she is the voice of Ellie in the video game The Last of Us and appeared in an episode of that. She was also the voice of Tara. Huh?
Sorry, Gretchen was not the little seal girl from As Told by Ginger?
I have no idea.
Did you ever watch As Told by Ginger? Macy, I think her name was.
Really, because I did not like it. I didn't like the animation style. I just didn't like it.
I think it was more geared toward girls. But anyway.
It definitely was that too.
I thought that was the same voice actor, but maybe not. I don't really care. Keep going.
It could be. Ashley Johnson was also Tara in Teen Titans.
Cool.
Cortland Mead as Gus, who was the star of Lloyd in Space and was in The Little Rascals. Pamela Adlon as Spinelli, who's also the voice of Bobby Hill from King of the Hill.
Oh, that's how I recognized that person. I was like, this voice is so familiar. Yeah, it does. Oh, I got to tell Corey because I was like, who is that? He goes, I don't know, some woman.
Did Corey like the movie or no?
Absolutely not. He actually, I'm going to have him come in here and give his opinion in a couple of seconds. Keep going. I'm going to text him.
Dabney Coleman as Principal Prickly, who we also talked about in You've Got Mail.
Okay.
April Winchell as Miss Finster, who is also the voice of Clarabelle Cow on the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Disney Productions. And James Woods, last but not least, as Philium Benedict, who was Hades in Hercules and the star of Videodrome, and also apparently was on the TV show Shark, the character Sebastian Shark. I felt that worth mentioning because what?
Okay.
Critics' consensus, though basically a TV cartoon stretched out to movie length, Recess has enough successful jokes and smart writing to make it a worthwhile view. The budget was $23 million, box office gross 44.5. Should I do some quick reviews?
Yeah.
Malcolm Ritter from the Associated Press, the kids will like this animated romp about summer vacation, and so will the adults sitting next to them. Bob McCabe from Empire Magazine, even if it did keep the ankle biters quiet for an hour or so, this still wouldn't be worth your money.
Wow, that's really funny. And I agree.
Roger Ebert from the Chicago Sun-Times, although it lacks the zany exuberance of the recent Rugrats in Paris, it's fast-footed and fun. Rugrats in Paris had charms for grown-ups, however, while Recess School's Out seems aimed more directly at grade schoolers. Todd McCarthy from Variety, a degradation of the Disney name.
Yep, agreed.
Joe Popick of Planet S magazine, it packs the comedic punch of a devastating third world earthquake, which I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Wow.
Is that like a big comedic punch, or is that like, I'd rather there be an earthquake? I don't know.
I'd rather be slipping into the plates of the earth and crushed to my demise.
Okay. Little piece of trivia for you. So, Philium mentions, like Norway, Sweden, Greenland, whatever, these very cold countries. That's why he wants to cancel recess so that kids are stuck indoors studying, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to cancel summer vacation. We have the results from 2018, the top 3 countries' test scores according to the Program for International Student Assessment. What do you think the top 3 countries are? Do you have a guess?
Japan?
No. Do you think it is any of those super cold countries?
No.
Well, you seem super into this, so I'm just going to tell you.
Tell me.
First is China. Second is Singapore. Third is Estonia.
Estonia.
In 22nd place is the United States.
Interesting. Okay, hang on. I'm going to pause you right here because I have backup. Okay. So I have backup. The reinforcements are on the way.
You need someone else to come in and insult me?
I do. I really do. So Dylan recently asked, he said, well, did Corey like it? And so I said, you know what? I'm going to have Corey come in and tell you himself.
I wish you'd had Corey come in for Batman Mask of the Phantasm instead, but okay.
I don't think it would have been better.
No. I enjoyed Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I did. I actually had the old Batmobile too from the movie, like the actual toy.
Well, that's not why we're
here. Successful distraction.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me into Batman because I'll just talk about Batman. But yeah, I forgot that because I used to watch Recess like on Saturday, like one Saturday morning, like it used to come on.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch it with my sister, and we loved it. But this movie, I feel like the best thing about it was the soundtrack.
Yep.
And then I
mentioned
think
that too.
the soundtrack was great. But
Don't hold back. What'd you say on the couch before I started this?
I was like, this is trash. But you know what? Like, I started falling asleep and stuff.
No. He's trying not to insult you,
It
but I'm
does sound
telling
like this
you.
is the nice version.
No,
of like,
no. I was
You're dumb
surprised.
for liking this. Like,
I was surprised. No. I mean, everybody, you can like what you want, but like, I was just surprised that you picked this movie because I just didn't feel like it was good. Like, there was nothing about it really that I liked, other than the fact that I hadn't seen these characters in a long time. Like, I just didn't. I thought the jokes were bad. I thought that the storyline was kind of dumb. And I thought they were just trying to like get these like, look, and the lunch ladies are this. And it was just like, there was a lot of, yeah, okay, in it, for me.
this feels very much like the Billy Madison "I award you nothing and may God have mercy on your soul" type of moment. And I'm just like, just gotta sit here and take it.
Now, Corey, if you had to choose, gun to your head, between Hercules and Recess School's Out, which movie do you choose?
Oh, I'm picking Hercules.
Okay, thank you. So
I watched
Yeah,
Recess
go
School's Out on Monday and forgot a lot of it. But Hercules has almost been entirely wiped from my mind, and I really don't care. Like,
okay,
James
well,
Woods
just
was the
because
best
you're
part of that.
dumb.
How dare you? But honestly, like, Hercules does nothing for me. It is so B tier. Like, Hercules belongs with this movie on the B tier. I said it.
I was just like, if we're gonna pick animated movies, not we, like, I'm involved, but like,
Yeah,
I was like,
involved
I think
second
that I would have picked other animated movies that came out around that time. Like, I still stand by this. I think Beavis and Butthead Do America is a classic.
I think it's also because I had watched a lot of Recess the show before, like, I picked doing the movie, because I recently was just on a kick of like, oh, what's on Disney Plus? Recess. Let me check that out.
I haven't stopped thinking about it since we watched it, and not for good reasons.
Oh damn!
I was just disappointed. Like, I was really disappointed, and I always like try to find something that I could enjoy about all the movies. Like, I've pretty much seen all of the movies that you've talked about. And again, I love Recess. I just was surprised at how much I did not enjoy this movie.
Sally, what say you?
She's now pointing the microphone at Sally the cat, who has turned her head away in disgust.
Yeah, she's disgusted at how bad that movie was. Listen, whatever. It was bad, Dill. Like, it was bad. And you know what? The Lizzie McGuire movie was bad too. And it's okay. You can just live in the fact that it was
Well,
bad.
now I feel like you're trying to give me a "this movie is bad" intervention, and I'm not having it. I need
you to admit.
I'm still
cannot
gonna be
allow you to
injecting
end
this movie into my veins, bruh.
No.
Wait. So you saw the movie and you enjoyed it after all these years?
I had a fun time. Is it great? I'll talk about that more in the verdicts. But there's obviously definitely a nostalgia tint to it where it's like, oh, I remember these characters and enjoy because of that as well.
Dylan,
Can't I just say the damn facts? This is fact time, damn it. This is not insult Dylan's pick time.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming in and doing that.
I really did enjoy seeing the characters again. I will say that. Like,
rewatch the show if you did enjoy seeing the characters. Although it is weird when you see content warnings come up before episodes had the kindergartners in them. I was like, I did not realize this was this was offensive to people.
Content warning?
Yeah, like it says like when this was offensive at the time and is offensive now. We are still showing it, but you have to wait like 10 seconds before the episode starts.
Why? What's offensive about it?
I mean, the kindergartners are obviously a play on like Native American people and are supposed like they're portrayed
like savages.
Yeah, like savages. But there's a line that cracks me up in the TV show where Gretchen holds up a discarded tricycle and goes, "I hear they use every part of the tricycle." And for some reason that makes me laugh every time I hear it. It's better in the episode.
Yeah.
Like how Native Americans, they use every part of the buffalo.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's what I thought, but I wasn't positive. All right. Well, listen, whatever. I really don't care. Can we get the show on the road, please?
I'm going to shorten up my facts because it seems to be going about that way.
Okay, hurry up.
Before James Woods, they had originally cast Burt Reynolds as Benedict, but he was replaced as the producers thought Burt Reynolds' performance was too over the top and too sinister.
See, that might make it better. Oh, Corey saying goodbye.
Thank you for coming in and destroying me.
He said, "Thank you for coming in and destroying me." He
Ricky
said, "Didn't mean to. I made him."
Okay, it's fine. I'll just cry afterwards. Ricky Deshaun Collins. This is the most hurt I've been since I watched Click. Ricky Deshaun Collins and Andrew Lawrence they still keep in touch. I thought that was nice.
Who are those people?
Vince
Hold
LaSalle
on.
and TJ.
Hold on. The family is now making seal noises. So I guess the baby is into seals and the father is clearly going, oh, really loud.
I definitely can't hear that. No, you're doing that thing where you hold the microphone up. We couldn't hear it last time. We definitely can't hear it now.
You will. Hold on. The entire family is making seal noises. I'm talking mom, dad, 2 kids. Oh, enough.
SEAL Team 6. I thought this was funny. Ricky Deshaun Collins, who played Vince, was telling a story that when he was 18, he was in the city in a club with friends, and a girl that he was friends with said, "You have to come meet my boy. He's a voice actor too." And this guy comes up and he's like, "Yeah, it's not a big deal." And he went, "Oh, what would I know you from? What do you do?" And he goes, "I'm Vince from Recess." And he was just blatantly lying. And he said, he was like, I let him talk about it. I went, "Oh my God, what's it like? What's it like recording the show?" And he went, "Show me your IMDb. I got to see this. Let me see it." And he went, I pulled up the Recess IMDb and I pulled up my page and I went, "That looks all like me." Like, I just like, oh my God, the savagery of that. Like, that's a burn.
Wow, that's crazy.
Let's see. Recess schools out. Both creators had parents that were teachers and wanted to make sure that the parents would still enjoy the teachers and not see them as total villains. Joe and Solabeer said the show was about little things and making them big. But if we made a movie, it'll mess up our take because a movie has to be big. And they argued for months with an executive, and the executive eventually said, either you can make this movie or we'll have someone else make the movie. So they sort of were like, I guess we just have to do it. They went big and small as much as they could, asking what are they doing in school during the summer. And then they read an article about someone who was a rogue educator that wanted to get rid of recess and laughed at that. So obviously that's how they came up with the idea.
Yeah.
All right, now that you know how they came up with the idea for the movie, and before we do our very obvious verdicts, should we get some mail?
Let's mail it up.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
Let's start with some comments on Whiplash. We got our first one from Scotty Cameron.
Oh, wow, I'm shocked.
Shock of all shocks. I agree with the point about Family Guy deteriorating as time progressed, and the show has failed to capture the magic of the first few seasons. With a lot of comedy shows, there is the law of diminishing returns, and the jokes about the characters' attributes get stale after 3 or 5 seasons. It's the reason shows like SpongeBob and The Simpsons are just not funny anymore. Family Guy's in the same boat. My friend and coworker who loved Vampire's Kiss also enjoys the Ted movies and would reference them in addition to Vampire's Kiss, so that's how I knew about the F. Scott Fitzgerald bit in Ted 2.
Interesting. What a random combination of things. I mean, I guess we all like a mishmash of things, but those two like simply do not go together in my mind.
I was going to say, people love many things. I can watch, Everything Everywhere All at Once, or I can watch Batman the Animated Series again. You know what I'm saying? Or Flavor of Love. I mean, that was, I didn't expect to end up on that one, but Giselle showed it to me and I loved it.
For a second you said, I didn't expect to end up on that one. And I thought, did I not know that my cousin was on Flavor of Love?
I was not on Flavor of Love, thank God.
Right.
Where the prize was you get to be with Flavor Flav. No,
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah. That's a prize nobody wants to win.
Surprisingly, people did.
Is he dead?
No, he's alive.
Sorry. He's
from
still
Long
alive.
Island.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, Kristen and I saw him once at the Smith Haven Mall.
Did you really?
I swear to God, we saw him at the Smith Haven Mall. He was, I believe, filming an episode of Maid for MTV. He was like a maid coach. Do you remember that?
No.
I'm pretty sure, unless I'm confusing in my mind, they did audition. They held auditions for Maid at our middle school. I auditioned, LOL. I obviously did not get it. But I do remember being at the mall with Kristen. He was right outside of the Foot Locker at the Smith Haven Mall. True story.
Was he rocking the clock?
Oh, yeah. That's how we knew it was him. What the fuck? We were two like 13-year-old white girls. How would we
You
have
might not
known?
recognize him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay. Next comment from Pedro. Whiplash. I love this film. Bummer, Gab does not care for Superbad and the Before trilogy. The movies which represent 2 big moments in my life. My dumb teen years and my, quote, I only watch smart movies, end quote, years.
Yeah. We've all had it.
Now we get to the emails, which surprisingly are from Pedro and Scotty.
Oh my God. Do we have any other listeners?
There's got to be
We have a
somebody
few,
out there.
right? Yeah.
Okay, so first we got Pedro. Thoughts on Whiplash? Hello, Dylan and Gab. I'm writing this a bit late, so I don't know when you'll get it. Hopefully in time before the next episode. We did.
Pause. It sounds like he's sending it via carrier pigeon. I'm not sure when you'll get it. We're going to get it the second you hit send.
I'm just imagining like 1917, like there's one guy running across the battlefield to bring us this message.
That he wrote with a quill and ink by candlelight. Yes. Right.
It's got some nice calligraphy on it, and it's like, I hope this finds you well. Found a little time this week to rewatch one of my favorite films, Whiplash. I remember first seeing this film 9 years ago when I was visiting my brother during his time in university college. Don't know the difference between those in your language. I don't think I was mature enough at the time to think deeply about the film. I just want to clarify, if this is Pedro's second language, he is fantastic.
Wow. Also, this is my first language, and I don't think I know the difference between university and college. Is it like a size thing?
I don't know.
I feel like it's my gut says college is small, university is big. Like a university will have different colleges within it, right? Like the College of Arts and Science.
I think it's a difference of something like that. I think it might have to do with the accrediting process.
Oh, interesting. You went to a university?
Yes, I did.
Drexel University.
No, I did not.
You didn't go to Drexel?
Nope. I visited Drexel. I did not go there.
Where did you go?
Quinnipiac.
Oh, they're the same thing in my mind. A very good friend of mine, Nick Marola, who I randomly ran into on the Union Square subway the other day. How weird is that? He went to Drexel, and he also went to film school. And I think you and him were the two people that I knew who were like majoring in film. And right, I did know that you went to Quinnipiac.
I've mentioned Grandma on the podcast several times now. I've never heard anybody butcher Quinnipiac as much as Grandma did. She once called me up and said, "How are things at Tinnamananuke?" And it was like, no, not close. Not even close.
That's incredible. That's the best thing I've ever heard. I went to a college. I went to Marymount Manhattan College, and that school is a performing arts school. So it makes sense that it's a college because it's only got one building, one offering. Like you can go for like journalism or like gen ed or like whatever, but you can't go to like pre-med. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone else is looking it up. Okay,
Pedro, nice job. You speak English better than me.
You speak real good. I don't think I was mature enough at the time to think deeply about the film. Having watched it a couple more times since then and seeing it again now, every time I see it, I love it even more. J.K. Simmons obviously steals the show as Fletcher from the moment he shows up. I'd only known him as J. Jonah Jameson in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films before this. He absolutely frightened me in the film. I also think Miles Teller's performance gets a bit lost because we focus so much on how awesome J.K. was, but I thought he did a great job in the film. I remember expecting to see Teller star in more films after it, and then Fantastic came out and the dude disappeared for a while. He's one of those guys who's always on like the cusp of being a big star. Like, I feel like he thought the Divergent movies would take off, and he was in those. He just was in Top Gun Maverick, obviously Fantastic.
Yeah. You guys really out here calling it Fantastic, huh?
People really called it that. I would not have done it, but I was going off of what Pedro said.
Okay.
The film questions how much you can sacrifice to be truly good at something, and it's one thing I've been thinking about a lot in these final years of studying. Some of my more talented friends didn't even finish and found work elsewhere and are chasing acting careers. And they're so good I wouldn't be surprised to see them on TV in a few years. But that is something I could never do. I haven't had a professor with the level of brutal expectations like Fletcher's, but I certainly dealt with some very unreasonable people that managed to get great work from me and my colleagues, while at the same time being some of the worst people I've had to work with, which is something I hate to admit that worked. But my best work was done with nicer professors who guided me and actually helped me. The first time I was paid for my work was because of a good professor who encouraged me to continue my work in video editing, which made my short film possible, which then made me send it to small festivals. Obviously, Whiplash takes a more extreme approach. I love everything about the film, the acting, the editing, the dark sets. The final drumming sequence is one of the most captivating things I've seen in film. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. So yes, Whiplash is obviously worth watching before you die. All three of us are in obvious agreement. As for the discussion on chasing perfection through any means necessary, I used to believe I could do anything to be a great artist, but now I just want to make a steady living. Also, sorry Gab, but I have to agree with Dylan that chasing it is still a toxic behavior even if that perfection is something you're willing to pursue, because at the end of the day, you're still putting your whole personal life at risk with how much you're sacrificing.
That's fair.
On the whole Tom Brady thing,
Duh.
which I don't remember how much we talked about Tom Brady, but okay.
A lot.
didn't-
It was a lot.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know much about him because for us Brazilians, he was just Gisele Bundchen's husband, who was good at your version of football. Was he good, though? Couldn't beat Eli Manning. Sorry, Dylan, had to stir the pot after disagreeing with Gab. As a
What
Patriot
does that
fan,
mean?
wow, really sad. Okay, as a Patriot fan who lives in New York, it as great as it has been to see my team win 6 Super Bowls in my life, the most difficult thing is seeing them lose 2 Super Bowls to the hometown Giants, which were quarterbacked by Eli Manning.
Wow.
Especially in 2007, when they would have been the first undefeated team ever in a 16-game season. But alas, I'm still pretty happy with the 6 Super Bowl wins. So I have gotten past it, and he isn't good. He's the greatest ever. Moving on. I guess I'm on Giselle's side. Even though I have no idea what happened, I must believe it was his fault. I also believe it's probably Tom Brady's fault.
100%. There's
Guy don't know
way
when
it's
to
not.
quit. Now, for the question of the week.
Oh.
We've all seen the sacrifices and work that Neiman was willing to do in order to get success. But what was the least amount of work you've ever put in something and you were rewarded for? I once had to write an extensive paper on the book The Theory of Modern Drama by some guy named Peter Zondi. Wrote it in a day, didn't even read to correct anything, just sent it to my professor. She gave me full marks on it and even wrote, "Your papers are always the best ones." Almost got a bad habit of just winging it with most papers after that. Bye till next time. So, Gab, what is the least amount of work you've ever put in something and you were rewarded for it?
Well, that's something that I've been really good at, especially when it came to school. I mean, I got AP. I passed AP exams for classes that I barely paid attention to. Like, I am very good. I'm a very good test taker, and I'm a very good like fake student. So I would say probably the thing that I put the least amount of effort into that I was rewarded for. I mean, in my life, I think I could probably say my college degree. And I only say that because I had 2 very different things that I needed to do to get my degree, right? There was my gen ed stuff where it was like a math class, an English class, whatever. And I basically just didn't even bother going to those. And somehow I got all the assignments in, I got, great grades, whatever. And then there was my acting stuff, which obviously like I put a lot of effort into. But most recently, I would say I took a continuing education course to keep my personal training certification. And I essentially had the course playing in the background on my computer 24/7, just clicked next whenever I could, Googled all the answers to the questions, and got my certification renewed.
I was going to say, I probably feel that way about probably high school. I just showed up every day. And if you show up and pay enough attention during the class, you really don't need to do any other work. That's how I was. I know a lot of people who did study really hard, and I never felt like I had to. Maybe it was just I had a good memory. Besides that, the only other answer I can come up with is my last job, which, I won't say. I'm not sure if we've said it or not. It was a government agency, though. And there are definitely people who you're guaranteed to get a raise every year as long as you are not doing catastrophically poorly. So I guess that is fully a reward for doing not the least work possible, but the most efficient work possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just remember graduating from college and my mom was so proud. And I got all these dean's list and this and that and this GPA and this percentile. And I was like, really? Because I basically gave up on this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully that's a not so dull answer to this question.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start making up questions for Pedro. If I don't like it, I'm just going to be like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh my God, I can't stop yawning, Dylan. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I'm boring you. Here's an email from Scotty. Whiplash.
Scotty.
Isn't that the villain who appeared in Iron Man 2? Yes, it is. Hey, Dylan and Gab. Great show as always. Whiplash is a movie to watch before you, wait for it, die. It is a great psychological thriller, which is not surprising that this came from Blumhouse, given that they do a lot of horror. Which I didn't realize until my second viewing of the film, and that was after discovering Dead Meat and hearing James talk about Blumhouse on the Dead Meat podcast. I love J.K. Simmons as Fletcher. The Oscar was well earned. It's part of the reason why I think Carell deserved the Oscar for the best lead actor, because John Dupont is basically Terrence Fletcher in real life. But maybe the Oscar voters didn't want to give the best supporting actor and best lead actor awards to actors effectively playing the same role. My brother really likes Whiplash because it's about jazz music, and he was in jazz band in high school, and he praises J.K. Simmons as Fletcher. I told him that he was Gordon, Mr. Jameson, and Omni-Man, and he was surprised. So I showed him Think, Mark, Think, so he would catch it. I'm sure you didn't watch Invincible.
No.
It was the superhero cartoon, but it was for adults. But basically, J.K. Simmons plays like the worst dad in the world. And I'm very qualified to talk about that. One scene in Whiplash that I do find a bit unsettling is when Neiman is watching Fletcher talk to a former student, and the student introduces his daughter to Fletcher because Fletcher will berate that girl as a student. I will say there is a Steamed Hams video that sums up Whiplash, and it is Steamed Hams, but it's an overly serious film essay. It basically explains how Skinner will do anything for Chalmers' approval at great cost. I mean, Skinner set his house a place to get Chalmers to say he steamed a good ham. That is true of Neiman. He tries so hard to get Fletcher's approval and finally gets it in the end, but at the cost of his girlfriend, family, and relationship. Oh, girlfriend and family relationship. Dylan, we have the same answer to Pedro's question because Comic Book Men is the reality show I would be good on. Funny enough, I've been watching a YouTube show called Another Comic Shop by the Whisker and Waffles channel, and it's a bit similar to Comic Book Men, but there are intro and outro sketches. In that spirit, Dylan, oh my god, I'm botching it. I will just say The Boys is a pretty good comparison to Supreme Power. I will just note Hyperion isn't a villain like Homelander, just a Superman analog. In case I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Scotty.
Sometimes I feel like he brings things up and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about?
I feel like I'm there more on the nerd level, so it makes sense that I get it and you don't.
Okay. That's fine. Then I'll let you have your moment. Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Scotty.
Yeah.
Whiplash is so good.
Now that we have some great mail that we've gotten through, should we get to our less great verdict?
Let's get to the honest to God truth about this movie.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence to death. Well, I suppose I should start as I presented the movie.
Yes, please. No, actually, why don't I start? Because mine's the obvious one.
Oh, is it?
I didn't like it. I thought it was bad. I didn't think it was cute. I didn't think it was funny. I'd much rather have watched the TV show. But unfortunately, now I feel like this has spoiled my opinion on Recess, and I'm not going to want to watch the TV show for a while. So thanks for ruining this for me.
I think if you like the TV show, that this is a movie to watch before you die. If you have that nostalgia hue for it. Do I think if I had never seen the TV show, if I didn't grow up with this would be a movie to watch before you die? No.
How can you not be objective about this?
That is me being objective. I just said that was me saying that if you are a nostalgic fan of the TV show and have a childhood connection to it, yes. But otherwise, no.
But I have a connection to the TV show and a childhood nostalgia for it.
And we are disagreeing, Gab. We are disagreeing.
Whatever. Okay.
This episode was bad and made me feel bad.
No, listen, I'm glad. Listen, I'm pushing your buttons. I enjoy this. I don't think any less of you. What did Giselle think?
She did not watch it with me.
Has she ever watched it?
I think so, yeah. I don't think she's like a huge fan of it. I don't think she was a big fan of the show, though, either.
Got it. Okay. Giselle's always my voice of reason. I don't know what to tell you. I'm glad it's out of the way. It was breezy. It was, it took less than an hour and a half, so that's good.
I suppose one other thing that I can say is that if you want to reach out and email us, you can send us an email at movieswatchbeforeyoudie@gmail.com or a voice message at
anchor.fm/movies to watch.
Say some good things about Recess School's Out if you watched it as a kid and enjoyed it.
I would like to hear if you are going to respond in a comment or an email. I would love to know what type of kid you were in elementary school. So just toss that in there quick. Just let us know what your vibe was, who you hung out with, what you were into, and something that you got in trouble for. Because I had a great time talking to you about being kids. I just didn't like this movie.
I enjoyed that part much more than the parts where we talked about the movie too. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about school?
If you're still in school, enjoy it because it's a lot easier than working.
Yeah, that is true. That is really true.
Yeah.
Well, my pick is next, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what it is right now. Is that cool? Can I just
if you haven't prepared, go right ahead.
This is what I want to do. I've thought about it. I've gone back and forth for a long time. It has been brought up consistently, and I just want to get it over with. We're going Sleepless in Seattle.
I will believe that when we actually talk about it next week because you've said that 17 times.
I know, but this time I really mean it.
Okay,
I
so
think.
allegedly, Sleepless in Seattle next week.
Have you ever seen When Harry Met Sally?
Yes.
Okay, so I watched it recently just because Sally, like I feel like I talk to Sally and about Sally all the time, Sally the cat. So Corey was at work one night, I was home, so I was just like, let me put this on. So good. So good. But I think Sleepless in Seattle is better, so I'm excited to watch that.
We shall see.
Okay. All right. Well, Dylan, listen, I love you. It's all in good fun and jest. You are one of my favorite people in the whole world. I've known you your whole life. No, yeah, I've known you your whole life. You've known me your whole life, but you haven't known me my whole life because I'm 2 months older than you.
Yes. That was a lot of explanation for that, but yes.
Yeah. But, listen, you're always going to be in my top 5. If we still had a MySpace, you'd be up there.
In the top 8. Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
I still enjoy
welcome.
Recess.
Say it
This
back.
intervention
Say it
has not
back.
stopped me. I don't know if you'll be in my top 8 now. Now that you've insulted Recess, so you could still be in the top 8.
I'd Venmo you $1, but you don't have Venmo.
I have Venmo.
Oh,
I
you don't have
Cash App.
Uber.
I don't have Uber or Cash App.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to Uber you. I almost said I'm not going to Uber you $1.
Don't Uber me. Please don't Uber me $1. Thank you so much for listening. We have gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Let us know if you enjoyed Recess School's Out and send us a voice message, send us some emails. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Don't do it, Dr. Benedict!
Don't do it? You think after all this planning, all this work, you can get me to stop just by saying, don't do it?
What if we had please?